which is a win. So then there's
For the
two people
people.
there. So there's two
Two
people are
people.
watching. I don't know if it's just me watching
Is it just
like
yeah?
on the stream.
It's just us.
Yeah. So I think that's that. Yes, we do have one with KJL Kevin. He said, "Hey guys." So that's there,
Hey,
which is always a big positive.
hey.
How are you before we start anyway?
I am loopy from 12 hours of work. How are you?
Yeah. So I'm not, I've not done 12 hours, but I am tired and it's been a long day among many other things. So yeah, I've just been up since I was up 4 o'clock in this morning writing all my tweets and stuff about the layoffs because this like news broke at like 2 o'clock in the morning my time, I think.
Yeah, it did
Um,
break late. I saw it late last night.
which is quite nice because some publications picked it up and they mentioned us as a source for finding it and breaking the story, which is quite nice. And then other ones that just didn't, and it's like, well, that explains why I left that industry a long time ago and why you guys are struggling to get views, because like if you don't want to credit other people's work, well, it's just you see how the report is. Well, it's like reported on LinkedIn. It's like, well, where did you find it first? It's like, I wonder where you found that
Through
story first.
admin of Player One versus the World.
Of course, yeah, and someone did mention that as well. Like my name was like, oh, look at that, how lovely.
It's like
So that's that, and we got someone else in here. We've got RR32. Got Hey Adnan and Abby. Hello, thank you for joining us.
RR32.
It's RR32.
RR32.
Yeah, so that's that.
What's with you?
I think we should start anyway because we've got a couple of people watching. Obviously, this is our first ever Fireside with A&A live stream episode. We are recording live as it is, so it's not going to be the great enhanced podcast episodes that you usually get with the quality. I will turn that over on Friday, hopefully, and I'll put it up for guys who haven't watched it. You can always come back to this at any time, and you can just like watch it in that time, but or you can wait for the actual good quality version, which will come. But yeah, it's our first Fireside with A&A live stream episode. Woo! I've only ever done one of these, I think, before with Adam when we had Life is Strange Double Exposure announced. So that's a bit of a different time, different era. So hopefully things go well. But we thought we'd do it because we didn't actually plan Fireside with A&A this month. We were going to do it next month, but then this news has come about. And obviously,
Yeah.
StrangeCast and Lost Records Journal is coming out next week, but they're meant to be Patreon exclusive episodes where this topic is not being mentioned at all. So it's not going to be covered at this point. So it won't come for a while. So we thought, you know what, we'll just do it here. So it'll just be easier. But if you are here as well and you're watching, and if you are new here, I'm Adnan. Abby there. Hello, whichever way you are.
Hello.
We do this podcast. It's a monthly podcast, usually when Abby's not like seeing her life meltdown.
Or just drowning in work.
All that, yeah. So yeah, we're back for this. So if you are new here, do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share with your friends. It helps support the channel. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, so if you can help us get there, that'd be brilliant. This podcast will be coming to RSS feeds at some point. I'm going to work on that. I need to get logos and stuff set up at some point, so that's going to be in the works. So just bear with us with that. And obviously, we have all the other podcasts on the channel: StrangeCast, Lost Records Journal. We do a lot of podcasts around Life is Strange, Lost Records, Don't Nod Montreal, Deck 9, etc. So all that is there for you guys to watch. Before we continue as well, Abby, we got Grenade Thrower. It says, I love you guys, plus Adam. And he's not here.
Oh, I just did the millennial heart. Is that the millennial heart?
That's
I don't
the
know.
millennial heart. Yeah, and then
Well,
is it
I am a
Gen Z's
millennial,
that
sorry.
one? Which is weird.
I don't like that one. It's too skinny. Too skinty.
No, it's weird. They're just weird. Gen Z's. That was it. That's for their phone. And I was just like that. I think selfies them like that, and we take photo. But yeah, that's all that. So we've got people here. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, KJL says WUHU live. So exciting. What does WUHU mean? What abbreviations are?
Woohoo. Woohoo.
Was he saying woohoo? Oh, he could get sent into the abyss there. I might throw him in there for that. That's it. Okay, we'll leave it as it is. But yeah, thank you for joining us. If you are here as well, I'm trying to watch the live feed, so if you want to get involved, feel free to put things in here. And obviously we'll answer them. We're going to talk about the Don't Nod Montreal layoffs that have happened and all the little details that have appeared from there. We got SGS36, who's put a raven, a sun, a moon, and a moth. It's actually a butterfly emoji, but we have them all there. And we have also ESTO3 who's put a waving emoji. So we've got people coming in, which is really nice and amazing to see. So thank you for joining us. Abby,
Thank you.
whilst you're here, so basically to give you a rundown and to other people, Don't Nod Montreal has had layoffs. This happened my time at least, Thursday morning, really early morning. I was tweeting about it, posting things out there. And it's been like developing non-stop. I think Don't Nod needs time. I got an email from Don't Nod before saying like there's a Steam sale or something happening, or like a sale. And I'm like,
There's been a
maybe,
Steam sale happening.
yeah. Well, they sent me an email saying there's like an 80% off offer and like all their games. I'm like maybe timing's not the best here. Maybe another day, please. Like, you don't really want to put that out there for this. But a
Yeah.
lot of layoffs have happened. A lot of little developing stories have happened in between it. I will try and bring them up as we go as well. I'll have to pull up my Twitter feed because a lot of it is pretty much laced on that. But have you been following any of it, or would you like me to give the rundown?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to give a rundown. I did see that they nabbed some folks in important roles, in my opinion, that would really help the continuity of the Lost Records series,
Yes.
but we could talk about it more.
Okay, so let's go through a quick brief history lesson then whilst we're here, because I'll pull it up on the screen for us, because you can go through my Twitter and you can follow me there on Blue Sky, because I'm just posting a lot of stuff in there. Where do I go? So let's go to the earliest point, I would say. So I
Whoa, you've
think
been steady tweeting.
yeah, I've tweeted a lot. Like,
So many tweets.
yeah, there's a lot. I've been tweeting for like all day. So 20 hours ago from when we're recording at like 10:48 p.m. UK time here for me. At this point was when I started seeing some of the layoffs. They appeared on LinkedIn. And there were two layoffs that appeared very early. I'm looking at the wrong tweet there. I can scroll down a bit more. Yes, there we go. So the first two layoffs that happened were Lauren Dufresne, who's a technical artist at Don't Nod Montreal, and also Sandra Cormier, who's there as well, who's a QA lead. And their messages were there as well. So you obviously have Sandra there. Says, unfortunately, I was part of the layoffs at Don't Nod Montreal, and today was my last day. These past 3 years, I've learned a lot as a lead QA, but as part of a wonderful QA team, I never stop saying how much I'm proud of my colleagues. That being said, I'm now looking for a new opportunity as a QA lead or senior tester. Don't hesitate to reach out to me by DM. And then obviously you have Laurent there as well, who had a bit of a longer one where it says, well, it was bound to eventually happen. Sad to say that after 3 years today is my last day at Don't Nod Montreal. The omnipresent waves of layoffs in our industry finally got us after the release of Bloom and Rage. Sadly, while we managed what feels like a miracle given the circumstances, it didn't seem like enough to keep our relatively small team whole and a non insignificant chunk of it was lost. I'd like to say that I'm shocked, but I think the dread across the entire gaming industry in the last few years has been a constant. We've all dealt with on a daily basis. I started to feel numb too. It was a pleasure working with the folks at Don't Nod, and for all and hope for all caught in this wave of layoffs to find something to fall back, as they are all incredibly talented. I'm going to move closer as well, actually, because I'm like stretching myself here reading these. So those are the two first layoffs that happened that I saw. Obviously, I imagine they were happening there unsynced, but it's where I've seen them online. If you go further up, I just started tweeting some other things as well, like about lost records and the sales potentials and what was being said, the union strikes from last year and early this year. So kind of going up here as well, the big one was here, which was Mary Pouliot, who's a principal cinematic artist on Lost Records Boom Rage, was laid off from this. If you remember as well, Abby, when we were speaking to Amelia, she was obviously talked about very highly by Amelia because she worked with the actors. So Mary said there as well, today I was part of the layoff wave at Don't Nod Montreal, although I was participating in this dreadly fatality that is now a habit in the industry. It came as a real shock. I did not anticipate this morning when waking up and going to the studio, but there it is, no cinematic artist anymore at Don't Nod Montreal. I have immense sympathy for my fellow colleagues who received the bad news today, and I hope for the ones who still have the jobs, I wish us all exciting new projects that will benefit and respect our collective and individual talent. It was a real pleasure and motivation to work alongside such passionate developers. I will truly miss them. This And also as well, Mary said as well, I'm now open to work if someone someone is looking for a dedicated film nerd with strong skills in cinematic, camera animation, camera editing, layout, direction of photography, sign department management, cinematic
Cinematic
design.
department.
Oh, is it cinema? There we go. A motion capture direction. Please ping me. It would be a pleasure to discuss with you. We'll talk about Mary first, actually. But I just want to pull up this as well because I'll go back to it. So I was just tweeting a lot of like little bits that were happening amid all this. So obviously this is the second round of layoffs that have happened. I don't know if it's still part of that original one, that reorganization project that was happening. So the reorganization project was announced in 2024 for you for context. Basically, Don't Nod said that 69 jobs will get laid off. It got involved with a battle with a union, the French union called the STGV. And in that, afterwards, it moved to a voluntary redundancy plan, which basically saved about 23 jobs and it required people to lay themselves off voluntary. I think everyone did, barring one. So I think the STGV were like, we took it as a victory where, not everyone's been laid off, but they saved 23 jobs. Ironically, I think it's now been lost in this amid Don't Nod Montreal layoffs because I think it's about 16, 17 people that have been laid off. I need to double check that one and go up there. So just like the details there as well. So it was like the projects, the entire thing was rolled out, as you can see as well on the screen. The voluntary redundancy plan happened. 23 jobs were secured from that 69 initially. And we're going through as well. And also, obviously, Don't Nod Montreal said that, or Don't Nod said that the game was in line with sales forecasts. And it was backed, obviously, by a strategic partnership with Sony, but also one that was competing in an increasingly selective market. So a lot of like kind of flags there in terms of the sales and stuff. The big thing will be that Don't Nod will report its full year results for 2025 later this year. That is when full year results. You'll get your half year results. So half year results will be reported in October. The full year for 2025 will go into next April. And that's obviously when you start seeing more about Don't Nod Montreal's Lost Records Bloomerage and where it appears on the finances. There are other things I know in the industry at the minute that aren't looking good. I think Microsoft's going through some layoffs. So it's all looking pretty nasty at the moment in terms of being in the development scene. I'm going to stop sharing that. So to start with as well, I think we have something here. So I have Kevin Kesty. Sorry to hear that. I hope everyone who got laid off finds better things. Yes, I think we also agree with that
Yeah.
as well. And then KGL's also put, Adnan, did you share a link as you said on X? I did, but probably not on my personal. So I'm going to do it here whilst Abby talks. Abby, where we at with the news? How do you feel about it?
I mean, of course, our hearts go out to everyone affected just from like a human standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, I'm really concerned that they cut, especially their cinematic artist, because cinematics have such a part in the branding and like visual aesthetic of a series, as we were talking about prior to recording.
Yes.
And I would be concerned that it's not being maintained, in games to come in Lost Records. So I don't like that continuity is now lost. I don't like that their lead QA um, person has, been affected by this layoff too. I think QA is actually something that they could have used more of in the
Yeah.
Lost Records game prior to shipping. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, they were already running lean, and 316 people left. I don't know how you can create a game of this scale with 316 people.
I think they're less now with these layoffs. I think they will come under 200 once they have got 200. They will come under 300, sorry, once these like layoffs all come into play. So even the reorganization project and these layoffs as well from Don't Nod Montreal. And obviously their team, the Don't Nod team, Montreal team is about 50 people, give or take. So it's like they pretty much made this project. So you can see where some of the things needed ironing out. And obviously, you had a QA lead, and like God only knows how much work they put in because they're still patching the game and fixing things and tweaking
Yeah.
it. Because it's just a scale. Because obviously, I always say this to people where it's like, obviously, AAA has lost all meaning nowadays. But like Life is Strange was AAA in 2015. Like that first game, it might be Sundance-esque, that vibey indie thing, but it was a AAA game because when Square Enix is budgeting the game, marketing it, Square Enix's external studios are working on it. 100, I think it was 100 people or something worked on the first Life is Strange, and the Don't Nod team was about 30 something odd people. So it's like, you know, you had a lot of manpower there. When Square's giving you resources and showing that with Life is Strange, it shows. But then obviously you see Lost Records, you get autonomy over your own content, that own kind of like magic you want to create. But then it comes with the risk of like, we're independent, we're doing everything on our own, we have to do it this way. So it's quite painful to see it. It's really sad as well. I was not expecting them to get laid off because when they did the reorganization project, it sounded like Montreal was fine. This does change everything in terms of the way that they're doing things because obviously they know that they have an M2 project which is in the pipeline at Don't Nod. So it's one of the games that's going to be planned for the future. That is probably intended to be a Lost Records game. The big question is, what kind of Lost Records game is it? Is it still a Lost Records game? Is it a published Lost Records game? These are big questions you start asking about where this goes from here because they announced very early that this was going to be a franchise, just literally straight
Yeah.
after the reveal trailer. And I hope that it does that, but I still think, you know, we've got a lot of like work to do here. And I think Don't Nod really needs to do that. There's a lot of things I've been like digging through today just in my spare time looking at things. And I'll show you some of them as well, like some of the graphs of like their player bases and stuff. And you'll be shocked because you're thinking like, yeah, you guys really lost what you were doing here, where it was like whilst you were upscaling, making these teams, making Montreal, making all these projects, you weren't thinking about the the external factors impacting the industry. So it's like they even point out in like all their earnings where it's like, oh, there's tons of like people buying games now on Steam every single every single like day or like accessing them. And it's like, yeah, but you should also be prepared for that and adapting for it because this is where the industry's at now. It's just cutthroat. So it's like you guys are like in do or die mode. You have to really adapt to it. But Don't Know is in a position where I think like longer term, I'll talk about this later, but I think like there's a lot of things that are like concerning at the minute. And I think with Mary's position, it's so sad to see Mary leave because obviously Olivia has talked about her. She basically got Olivia the role of Swan Holloway because had it not been for um, Mary, they never would have seen her tape because she had auditioned for Cat. And then obviously when we spoke to Amelia, she spoke highly of Mary. I imagine that, for example, if they've cut her role because the game was finished and they've obviously now going to wait until the next game goes into production. So it's a role that you can wait to fill. It does ruin that continuity, as you said, because obviously she is very much important to that role. And they still have all their key artists and other people. But I think
Yeah,
that's
that's a cross-functional role too. That's not
yeah,
just art. It's, the people who are doing lighting, people who are even doing like narrative cutscene kind of stuff. Like that's really important. Um, yeah. Also, I think to go back to your point about Don't Nod maybe not keeping up with the times or foreseeing industry trends, I think that not having this game on the Switch really hurt them.
yes. So they said that it couldn't come to the Switch because the memoir mechanic in the game is too big because it saves a lot during the camera when you're like capturing stuff.
Yeah. Hmm.
And obviously like Final Fantasy VII remake has come to the Switch too, and I'm like, how is that going to run on that console? Like, it's a great console, but it's very hard to develop on. And like games like this bed we made, indie games that are darlings where you think, oh, this would be amazing on a Switch. Those developers would kill themselves to get these games on the Switch. But it's like, and you look at like Double Exposure, for example, just like as an example, the Switch port is horrific on it because it's just like they've downscaled the entire game and they use an entire different studio. I think it was a Dutch studio, Engine Software, I think it was called, that did it. And it's like they've just downscaled the game to almost like PS2 level graphics and like mechanics. So it's like because Nintendo's not a friendly console, it doesn't help. Like the other thing that happens with it as well, Xbox is usually a very good platform to develop your games on because they are very friendly to developers, which is really interesting. But yeah, the game struggled to cut through, and I think that they didn't really use marketing well. I don't think the marketing team's anywhere near as robust at Don't
Yeah.
Nod. And I say this in the most
They've gotten
respectful
better,
way. Hmm?
but they've gotten better now that like the ships have formed. But they should have been doing that from the start.
Yeah, I still think they need to put a lot more money towards it because like even their teams now have been streamlined. They have 3 teams now, so you have 3 projects there. You have one in Montreal, which is a Montreal-based team. You have a
Yeah.
Paris division game, which is now working on Aphelion, that is made of players. That's made of developers from Banishers, from Juson, from Tell Me Why, and then you have another team as well there, and they could be different areas of developers. So it's like they've had a lot of key figures have gone from Don't Nod in the last year. One of them was a really big one that went last year. And it's like these are big things that are needing to be replaced, but they're not being replaced efficiently enough. And that's a big problem. That's a bigger problem in the gaming industry. Because you think about it as well. If Michel left, for example, at Don't Nod Montreal, what are you going to do then? He's your director. He's your key figure.
Yeah.
It's like, who's going to take over you? So you have like specific people in specific roles, but it's like they never think long term, and this is a big thing within the gaming industry, at least. But with Mary, though, I feel so sad for her as well, because like to be in that circumstance, you can see like with some of the messages that we'll go through with the LinkedIn post. Obviously, things are starting to appear now with how the production of this game went and the scale of it. It's like, a lot of things happened that went against this game, i.e., Double Exposure being announced last year, which came in 2024. That was a very quiet period where this game could launch and had a bit more of a better window. That happened. Then on top of that, they delayed the second tape, so production was affected at that point. Then you announced the PS Plus deal, which was, as it says, strategic partnership. Take that away, where does this game go? It's not being its sales in line with forecast. Not a chance is it going to happen like that. So it's like, these are big problems with it. And even with the marketing deal with Sony, they didn't market it that much. Like, Don't Nod really needs to look at how they market their games, because they're not using TikTok. They have to. One thing that I was thinking about, Life is Strange is one of their biggest success stories, and obviously Vampire is as well, but not as big as Life is Strange. Vampire had a good thing, which was in a vampire game. Focus was like really publicizing it. One thing that's happened with Don't Nod is they have a social media following, but it's older people now. So a lot of people are a lot older with their generation. So if you take, for example, Life is Strange, Emma Vicelli wrote the comic books. She's now 46. She wrote them 7 years ago, off the top of my head, around about that. She was in her late 30s when she was writing them. And you can see, for example, when she played Life is Strange, if you take 10 years off, she's in her 30s at that point. She's in her mid 30s and she's playing it. So again, it's the same with me. I'm in my 30s. I was in my 20s when I played Life is Strange. People
Yeah.
get older. You compare it to, for example, someone like who does the comics later, Life is Strange, Forget Me Not, who's Zoe Thorogood. Zoe's in her 20s. And you look at it thinking like, oh, actually, so she was really young when the first Life is Strange game came out. And obviously she must be really appealed with like true colors because she was growing up in that kind of era. Big age gaps that start appearing with it. That's what's happened with Don't Nod, because you see people picking up like Lost Records like, oh, I didn't know Don't Nod was making this. And it's like, people still don't know what Don't Nod is now. They have no idea who Don't Nod is. They don't know
Yeah.
what it is as a studio. And that is a big problem as well, the messaging. You need to get things out there so people see it. They need to see a brand. They need to see what it is with Don't Nod. All they know is Life is Strange, and they think, oh, actually, that's Square Enix. And it's like,
Well, I think they tried to capture the zeitgeist by like going with the 90s theme,
yeah.
the throwback.
Mhm.
So that did, I think, maybe interest an older audience, but also you have to think about the fact that like older audiences don't have as much time to play, even if they have better expendable income to
Yeah.
actually spend on the product. And of course, they were trying to also capture the Life is Strange crowd with the ambient narrative exploration angle.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're completely right about branding, though. Like, I couldn't tell you necessarily the exact type of game that Don't Nod makes because it's
No.
kind of just all over the map. Like, they have Jusant, which is, from my
Niche.
understanding, yeah, like niche adventure actiony.
Yeah.
And then they have these like ambient narrative games, but yeah, the marketing is lost.
You're right, because they're dipping their hands into every pocket. So like, I
Mhm.
love things like the Lonesome Guild and Koira, it looks lovely, and even Jusant. These are projects that you do if you're a studio that is in a very good position financially, and you're like, oh, actually,
Yeah.
because we have a big audience now, let's make Jusant because we can use this as a supplement game, and maybe it carries with us. They haven't done that. They've dipped their hands into every pocket, and now they're streamlining. Now they're like, let's work with a publisher. Now we'll do this. Like the other game they've announced, Aphelion, the space game. Is that really going to appeal to wider scale audience? Because I'm still cynical about it a little bit. Director's fantastic. Florent is an amazing director as well. His style, his vision. But I still sit there thinking, like, is this the game that is really going to crack the audience? I don't think it is. Because you need something that has that agency. As you said with Lost Records, capture that 90s zeitgeist. You can do it. But they didn't really tap into it. As I said to you as well, I would be like getting someone like you in the social media team on the TikTok and just putting like the ethereal dance every single opportunity I can, and like those kind of like sapphic elements. Use it this month. Get it promoted during LGBT Pride
Yeah,
Month. Like,
that's so true.
why are you not doing that? Like, obviously, tell me why it's free, and that's amazing. And they're like, oh, we donate to other causes, and that's obviously incredible. But like, you know, like promote this game at least. Get it out there to people. Like, get them to play it. Drop the price, etc. But everything that they've done since Vampire has commercially flopped. Jusant, Banishers, Harmony. Twin Mirror, all have flopped.
Forgot
And
about Twin Mirror.
some of them have been written down as assets, some of them are just gone. Nothing's taken away from the quality of the game. But the problem is Don't Nod does not know how to market their games. As being as cutthroat as I can be honest. And the same argument is made with, for example, Deck Nine, because when Deck Nine teamed up with Telltale and did The Expanse, it was like, this is actually a really good quality game in most large parts of it. It's so niche though, and it's like you really have to appeal to a bigger audience with it. Lost Records is quote unquote niche, but it has like a, as you said, a wider appeal with it. 90s nostalgia, kind of magic, euphoria. Play into those a bit more, get people hooked onto it, get people to see it, get them to engage with it. And I still don't understand why they don't use that short form platform to attack people on TikTok. And they've obviously like struggled with not having pre-orders available, which is another big problem, because if someone sees it and they can't pre-order it, they're like, oh, I'll come back to it another time. So it's like you've lost
And
a sale
don't
there.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like it's frustrating. Just a couple of things here, Abby, as well. Actually, got some comments coming in. Thank you for everyone
Mhm.
watching as well. If you are watching as well, please do like as well. It does support the channel because we are very small and we really appreciate it. So Abby, couple of things here. So we've got Blue Jay. My hopes and prayers goes out with those who laid off. I hope laid off wasn't that worse. I hope so as well. There's quite a few people
Yeah.
there. Bulldozer says, hello there. Sad news for Don't Nod Montreal. The SAGV said it's worth pointing out that the jobs ratio affected Don't Nod Montreal studio is similar to the one saved by the STAGV its union at the Paris headquarters, which does seem like a delayed consequence of DN management trying to cut corners as they recognize rather than being necessarily tied to the game performance. Yeah, I think also the game, I think Oscar Gilbert's digging himself into a trench. He's the CEO of Don't Nod, because I think that union's going to start another fight this year. And I think that he better brace himself for that, because
Absolutely.
yeah, because like they don't have much leeway in Canada, but that a third of the Paris division was about 100 employees, I think, walked out in those strikes that were happening last year, this year, and it was constant. And that has an impact on Montreal, for example, because like, colleagues, morale, marketing, social media,
Mhm.
all this stuff wasn't done during that process. I remember there was a period where the second tape would come out, I was like, who is posting something about this? Nothing. And it's like, that's a big problem with like, you know, getting appeal from it. So that's that. So we've got Dog Party Guy. This is Life is 2D. Pausing, throwing a certain band back in their bin, but yay, Abby, ex Adnan, thank you very much. Harmony, Gerda, Jusant, Banishers, So Wild. Yeah, like that in itself is like the portfolio is wild of games. And those are amazing. But the problem is these projects should be greenlit when Don't Nod has established itself as a studio. So it's like when it's like it has a, trying to be more kind of a Naughty Dog reputation as a studio where it's established and it has a fan base. You start building these games and get people to play them, because then it's like, oh, actually, I know that Banishers is made by Don't Nod. I bet you most people would say it's made by Focus, because that's the publisher that's on it and they've promoted it and they were putting their name on it. But it's just yeah, it's something else. Got Boulder there as well. Well, basically, Don't Nod has three kinds of games, as they said: narrative games, Life is Strange, Tell Me Why, and Twin Mirror, Lost Records, Harmony, Fall of Riviera, and action adventure, Jusant and Fellion. Um, yeah, see, they're also a bit limited with their games as well, because I was remember speaking to a developer as well recently, and they were saying to me one of the most important things for developers to do nowadays is to make horror games or horror elements within their games,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's
Agreed
the
to do
new
that.
Let's Play. Because like I remember when obviously Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, people like that took Life is Strange in the Let's Play era, that doesn't really exist that much now. And it's like they do say like you have to try and make horror games, because those streamers will, if you watch like OK So and people like that, it's like they play those games and they make them more appealing. I can't remember
Mhm.
is it Chimchal? Oh, I can't remember what it's a coffee thing. Like even some of the horror Japanese small games that people made, they've boomed because of like influencers watching it and playing it. And I think Lost Records have potential to do that. Like I think even the forest scenes, as you were scared not to play for it. You're like, I used to get the audio guys. If you're listening, me and Abby do a lot of mini podcasts when we talk to each other. And you're like at the end of the message, like, yeah, I'm gonna play Lost Records tomorrow because I'm getting a bit scared. Okay, right, see you later, bye. Like, like right. But like he's good at it though, Michelle. He's like big Sam Lake fan, and it's like they could even do like an Alan Wake esque game with him as a director and get like a horror element to it. So yeah, it's interesting with that. So let's have a look at this. KJL, do the casual players ever know the game developer studio, maybe EA? Depends on the studio. So obviously, if you know your games, Kojima Productions, Hideo Kojima, you'll know Shigeru Miyamoto, you'll know Shinji Mikami from Resident Evil. So you know people. I think that they wasted an opportunity not building a brand around Michel. And I know he's too humble not to do it. He's too nice of a guy. And it's like he's very David Lynch-esque kind of figure. They should have really built a brand around him. Because like
They
that
still
cult of,
can.
he still has one now, to be honest, but it's niche again. That's the thing with it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
super
like,
niche.
and I just think that they should have put more production value towards this game. Like you're really putting a stock value in a game which was like Life is Strange, the developers of it, they should have really gone for like put full performance capture and put investment towards this project and really made it a more higher scale game compared to other games that they've done. We'll come back onto the news in a minute. Let me just run through some more of these
Okay.
quickly as well. It's got Baldo, action RPG, Vampire Banishers, Dog Party as well. It's sad the marketing for Lost Records was great, but it wasn't widespread attention grabbing.
I would agree with that. I've seen a lot of good TikToks that have like kind of hit, but nothing's ever really gone super viral, and they haven't utilized Pride Month, I think, to their
Yeah.
advantage as much as they should have.
So I think that they did good marketing, but it was niche. So it's like the ARG was a great thing, but it was too niche. And it was everyone who was getting excited for Lost Records. The ARG was an online gaming mechanic that they did. It was like a little component between Tape 1 and 2. And it was just an
Oh, that's
online
right.
game. Yeah, it had the Discord messages. Discord messages would come in. It had like weekly missions, and it was following a character called Erin, and you were following that story. And it was just like one of those really enticing things that you'd have. But for example, with me, that's the kind of thing you'd do if Square Enix was your publisher and giving you budget, because they will do the other stuff. But I saw them do some live partnerships with people, some brand partnerships, which were okay. But then, as you said, they didn't use their TikTok algorithm either. They have a big following on that. Other people did. You had more success, I think, with some of the videos with like posting them where about Lost Records. And it's like they weren't
Literally.
using they, for me as well, they weren't going back to the basics where optimal hashtags with like hashtag Lost Records and like or games with it. They don't do it with their indie games at the minute. So Koira, the hashtag Koira, who's searching Koira? You need to search it on like Fox. It's a vague term, but you have a character in there called Mr. Fox. You have a character called Da Vinci. Hashtag it. That is a searchable term. Someone will search Da Vinci at some point or another. And like, well, actually, that's really cool that he's got a Da Vinci like reference kind of thing. Um, so I'm just kind of like, optimize your content, like optimize your content and get it out there. And I always say this as well. Again, I had that pleasure of doing the interviews with Low Birth Games with This Bed We Made. I've always talked about this as well. And their creative director, Olivia, he was like, we had so much success of TikTok, and they still have success of TikTok, and they do reels. You go and watch their social feeds, it's like bang, 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 bang. And it's like a video every time. It's like, here's Beth, and here's Sophie, and here's this character. And they do it all as gay as possible, because like that's what the game is, and they're like
That's what the
fantastic.
algorithm likes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great as well because if you can get that, then sell it, because as you know, where people do the woke thing and stuff like that, sell it to the gay audience.
That's
That's
a
what
whole
people want.
thing.
Yeah, but like, but it's true though. Like for me, I would do that at that point because like they know what kind of game they're making, sell it on that, and go for it. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, perfect. Like this is what people want. I'm gonna sell it to you with what it is. Like, look how gay this scene is in terms of in Fawn's Curse. These people are dancing. It's like, yeah,
And kissing in Doc Martens,
exactly,
but not a
exactly.
brand partner with Doc Martens.
Oh, God rest Doc Martens. Not even Max Caulfield could save that. They're taking big hit on profits at the minute. It's like, I will come back to the chat in a minute. I'm just going to keep going on as well because we've got quite a lot. And thank you for joining us as well, guys. It's really appreciated. We've got 28 people watching, which is amazing.
Wow.
Which I always appreciate. So, Abby, let's just go through again. This is like, again, it's just non-stop the amount of stuff that was happening. So developers were laid off as well, as you can see there. So we had Lauren, Sandra, and Mary as well. Alexandria, was
Alexander.
left in April. Was a narrative designer. I don't know if they were laid off. I think they were
Mhm.
laid off. The way that the messages come off, it seemed like they were laid off as well.
Interesting.
So that's one of the other people. I was watching Don't Nod Stock today. It didn't really move, to be honest, in response to the news. It has stayed where it's almost at. It's now back below €1, which is not a very good sign at the moment.
I think you'll
Um,
probably have to wait a day or two to see the full impact.
so for context, and I've said this before, I do have a very small position in Don't Nod. Do not go and invest in Don't Nod if you do not know your research. I'm taking a different risk with this. And I've always said that once I invest out of this company, you'll know about it. I'm just using it because we're talking about it now. Usually the stock will react within when news comes out. So, like for example, I was talking to you before, Nike went up about $6 because I was watching the stock earnings come out, and it depends on certain cases. So with Don't Nod last suspended its stock in October last year when it announced the reorganization project and its other little things, and with that, the stock took a bit of a hit. It came under €1. Usually, what happens with the gaming industry and job layoffs, or even any company, obviously stock moves up because investors look at it being like, oh, we make more money here, we cut resources, etc., etc. The stock has not recovered here. I don't think the stock moves properly until October later this year. Unless something wild happens that is unforeseen, it won't move now until October properly into the higher range, because it's going to be when the earnings come out. That's what's going to move the stock. It's a very volatile stock, Don't Nod. This company is not projected, last time I checked and did my running analysis, till 2029. They are hemorrhaging cash. They are burning cash. They have put so much into investment and projects. Like in itself, for example, if you were, because Oscar Gilbert did an interview in February, and he was like, the stock price is amazing now to buy it this time. He's like, if you want to buy the stock and get invested in it, it's great because it's at low price. At this point, if you had money as a stock, like as a company, you'd buy back your own shares, so you'd increase the value of the stock. So it'd be like, oh, actually, let's give back to the investors, increase, like take off the amount of stock that's on the
Mhm.
market, go from there. Instead, it's not there because they don't have the money to buy the stock as well, and it's continuing to dwindle and it's destroying the market cap. Because I think I think off the top of my head at the minute, looking at that, they had a peak about €17. It's now under €1. I think they're valued about €10 million. So if you wanted to buy Don't Nod, the current price would be 10 million, but you wouldn't pay 10 million at the minute. You'd probably pay a premium. So basically, shareholders would agree on it. I think Don't Nod would probably sell at about $10 if you're ambitious, or €10. So the stockholders would agree and say like, oh, actually, we can sell it for €10 because that's a fine one. But at the minute, we don't know that as a financial position, it's not very good, and that stock is very, very frightening to look at as well. Stock value is not indicative always of a company's reflection, but with Don't Nod, it is, and it's not in a good position there. Um, and thank you for joining us, guys, as well. If you continue to join and coming and going as well, we will get to your comments very soon. Which move that up there as well. Sorry, right. And okay, so we'll move away from the stock thing because it's going to be boring otherwise.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got our Patreon episodes coming up as well. Just mentioned that before. So this was another person that got laid off as well. So Marianne Hion, who's the cinematic
Mhm.
and gameplay animator, was laid off at Don't Nod Montreal. So she's put here as well. Yep, my turn on the green banner. Yesterday, I was informed that I am part of the most recent wave of layoffs at Don't Nod Montreal. While it's definitely a tough moment, I'm walking away with a deep sense of gratitude. I've had the chance to work with incredibly talented and passionate team, and I've grown so much both professionally and personally during my time there. I'm now open to opportunities in the video game industry or adjacent creative industries, and I'd love to connect with studios or teams looking for someone who brings brings heart, curiosity, and dedication to their craft. If you hear of any roles or projects where you think I might be a good fit, or if you'd like to chat, feel free to reach out. I'm open to both remote and hybrid positions, Montreal based, and I'm excited to see what's next. Thanks to everyone who made the adventure at Don't Nod so memorable. So that was another person that was laid off. Daniel Cote was laid off as well, who's a 3D animator at Don't Nod Montreal. He put there as well, hello, rolling with the punches. I've been affected by layoffs at Don't Nod Montreal, and I'm currently actively searching for 3D animation opportunities. I'm eager to start my next chapter. So he was also laid off. And then on top of that, I believe we have here, so we had, oh, did I not put the picture out there? I did not post a picture. Right. I was wondering why that's not missing there. So Matteo Tremboli put here as well. He was a senior gameplay and level designer at Don Montreal. He was laid off, and this is an interesting point he made in his quote. I don't actually have the graphic anymore. He put, and shipping the game with this level of quality was nothing short of a miracle in the
Hmm.
circumstances. Which I think again comes back to that conversation of how difficult this project has been. I think Don't Nod has had a bit of a wake up call with its Life is Strange team in a respectful way. That is like when you're on your own and you're doing a project like this, it's so difficult in terms of the demands and all the constraints. The constraints were there. I started seeing them like during the production pipelines and stuff. Like you, because here's my honest opinion as well with something else. Rookie error 101 is that, for example, that double exposure is coming out, right? It's announced in June last year. You
Mhm.
go to Gamescom, you hold a convention, people do interviews with your developers, great. You also let people go hands-on with the game as well. You give out codes, you had a limited amount of codes, you give them out. People did previews for them. And then that's it. So you made an accolades trailer from it, and then you delayed the game till 2025. None of that preview coverage has gone anywhere with it. Nowhere. Maybe it doesn't have that much of an impact as it used to in the gaming industry. But, for example, here's an example from it. When the new game Death Stranding came out, Death Stranding 2, can't wait, came out, the recent preview event that happened, people went there, they played 40% of the game. Because it's that big of a game, they gave the reviewers, soon to be reviewers, a heads up, playing 40% of the game so they could play it and get ahead of it. It got universal glow on its previews, and it's being met with universal acclaim compared to the first Death Stranding, which in itself is a masterpiece. But anyway, it got massive. So basically, that is marketing from Sony and also Kojima Productions, which has a big history of video games, knowing how to use previews. Lost Records didn't do that here. It left them into the wilderness, so no one's going to search up that now. You use it as a marketing campaign. You want to really build up with people. Maybe it does everything, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But that's your big marketing ploy at that point. Yeah, that cat's there as well. For the live stream viewers as well, Abby's cat is about to cause some absolute havoc, so get ready for this. Yeah, I do read into those comments though. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, the constraints were there, the demands were there. Clearly, things started to change towards the production line and when they were getting there, and obviously the game got out as well as it did in its state as well, which, as I said, I'm not someone here sitting here slamming it because it's not a AAA video game. It's an indie game. It's not even AA. It's like an indie game. So we are where we're at.
I mean, a damn good indie game, but
Yeah, no doubt about
right.
it. Because it has great things with it as well. Because even, for example, even the camera mechanic is like what Life is Strange double exposure should be right now, where it's like, you have the camera and you're like, that's what Max should be doing, taking Polaroid photos and like doing things. It's like that's a great mechanic, but it needs to be like elevated, and I think as well, and it will be a bit of a reality call to Michelle as well in terms of a respectful way again, where this is no different from Kojima. Kojima just made Death Stranding. It was heavily criticized for how slow it was. Even Death Stranding 2 is still quite slow in from what I've heard so far in the previews, but it picks up really fast, and like that's the big thing. So it's like, you know,
Yeah, this was a bit too much of a slow burn.
yeah, you
There were
need a
times when even I stopped playing,
yeah.
and I wasn't sure that I was going to finish the game because it was so slow.
Yeah, it in a really tacky, creative way. For example, you needed scenes where Swan would be on her own, and then, for example, Corey would ambush her out of nowhere. Comes on his dirt bike, rum 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 rum, ends up, and then you have a confrontation mechanic or confrontation scene. Do you like the back talking before the storm? And
Yeah,
it's
but
like
Swan, that wouldn't have fit with Swan's character.
exactly, but to kind of like liven things up. Or for example, he chases after her on the dirt bike in the forest, and you're like running through, kind of thing. Just something like that to edge it up a little bit in terms of giving it a bit of pacing. Like,
Or like more romance, like more kissing.
I was gonna say that's the opening scene for you. That wouldn't it? Be like, there you go. We just need like the credits afterwards. There
Yeah.
we go, done. Masterpiece. Yeah, that's all that's there. Let me just quickly see. Oh, Adam's in here as well. Look at that. In the chat.
Adam, my
Um,
twin.
where are we up to now here? So I'm gonna go back up here. So Boulder said Lost Records, did okay, I think, to Dog Party, Dog Party. But I mean, I was kind of marking it on Blue Sky. Life is 2D was doing that. Again, like Don't Nod has a Blue Sky page and they don't even use it. So it's like, why do you have it? Like why
Because
what
they don't
I
have the
just
staff for it.
no they
They just keep
don't.
playing stuff.
No, they don't. And I can speak for at least from experience working for big social media companies because I did a lot for them and they were very big as well, brand wise as well. And like the amount of work that you have to put into them, you have to do it to get the paying reward from it. And these companies don't do them as well. I love seeing fan arts and stuff, but you need to post original content as well. Like a lot of original
Yeah.
content to keep people engaged. Dog Party said, I don't think these layoffs are related to sales of it. More of the fact that people are people who haven't worked to be sorry, who wouldn't have work to be doing for a while and trying to spread from the Paris ones. Yes, that would also not surprise me. It's sadly the case that happens the most publishers, but they have people sitting around and not a lot to work on. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me as well with that because, like, yeah, I don't know how this game is sold. It's going to be very revealing when the earnings come out, because like you can meeting in lines with sales expectation is one thing, which is that it's steady, but you're forecasting saying that it's in line of expectations. Is that good? Is it bad? Is
Yeah,
it above?
the
Is it down?
expectations could have been terrible.
Exactly. And then in top as well, strategic partnership with Sony, which says that you did it because that deal came into place. Um, yeah, and I don't think it's related to sales. I think as Life is Studios said that as well, it's quote unquote in the horrible way, trimming the fat where they can.
I
Because they
hate that term. That's not an appropriate term, I think, to use for layoffs because they were not the fat, they were part of
from
the
a
meat.
no, I completely agree. It's from the business perspective. That's what they would say. That's
I know,
how.
but even from a business perspective, like, you don't have a game without cinematics. You don't have a game of this caliber, I should say.
I agree.
So, like, that's the flavor of the game, and I
Oh,
guess the fat's the flavor too.
no, they would cut every single person if they could possibly a company to make with it and cut corners with AI. I think that I think Microsoft's coding is written by about 30% AI, and it's
Yeah,
like they will cut. That's why that
you can
trim
tell
the
when it's
fat comment.
AI.
Yeah,
You
and you
can
can
tell.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a horrible comment when I make as well. It makes me deeply cringe, but that's how they see it. And when you see it from that business practicality side, they honestly, and it's the horrible part, they don't care about the artsy fartsy part of like Lost Records, which is amazing. I love it, and everyone else does. But like they just like they're like, well, okay, cool. It's like AI can do that, and it's
But it
like
loses all of its emotional impact when you can tell that something was made with AI.
100% it does. 100% it does, and I think completely agree with that. Let me have a quick look at that as well. Blue Jay, I think Don't Nod should put Lost Records on Games Pass so it can sell more. It will come to Games Pass. There's no doubt about that. It's got a physical release on PlayStation, but I still think they're going to put it on Games Pass very soon. Juson's just come to PS Plus, and that's just probably making back as much money as they can possibly do at this point. Life is Duty, I think Games Pass has been killing the value of games, to be honest. But the physical edition is due for PS5, isn't it? Yeah, but Games Pass is good for independent developers. Like you're a AAA monolithic studio, you don't want to put your game on Games Pass. Like I imagine Life is Strange Double Exposure is going to end up on it soon because it's not selling well. But like if you're what?
Oh no, that's such a surprise.
There's a 1 year anniversary coming up. I hope Adam's still watching this as well, and he's going to watch it soon. He's going to play it again. It's going to be fun that.
Oh
Um,
no.
oh God, like do you know what as well? It's worrying this kind of like layoffs for Don't Nod Montreal because it tells you about the other side of the branch, because I'm a firm believer of like, even as much as you don't like double exposure and stuff and whatever else of it, Life is Strange needs to exist to support something like Lost Records, because it gives people a reason to go and play Lost Records, because someone will play Life is Strange and they're like, what else can I play? Oh, look at Lost Records, it's great. Oh, what else can I play? Oxenfree. It
Yeah,
has a
that's true.
nice domino effect with Telltale games, with Life is Strange games, with Deck Nine games, Don't Nod games. They all have a nice domino effect. And if Life is Strange, which is the pillar, the big pillar at this point at least, that's not holding itself together, it's not a good sign for the industry. It's really not a
Yeah,
good sign
no,
for the industry.
absolutely. And I mean, if I want to keep on having jobs, if like other voice actors want to have jobs, we do need Life is Strange to exist and continue existing for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Otter Dark, mouthwashing was really good in that aspect.